Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about popular books that are worth the hype. I have also done another video about popular books that are not worth the hype. I don't know which one is going to go up first, but watch out for the other one depending on whichever one does go up first. So let's just jump straight in. There is about 6 or 7 books on this list. Let's get started. The first book is The Book of the New Sun by Gene Wolfe. I got recommended this book a lot, especially after I started reading Baker, and damn, this series so far, at the time that I'm filming this video, I have just finished the second book. It's incredible. Do I know what's happening most of the time? No. Do I get all the symbolism? No. But damn, it's incredible. It's so good. Like, Wolfe's writing is absolutely a breath of fresh air. Yeah, there's just something very magical about his writing that I can't really say for many other fantasy authors that I've read personally, but it's so worth the hype. It's so worth the hype. And bear in mind, I'm only halfway through the series. It's a quartet, and then there is another prequel book, I believe. So I'm only halfway through, but I mean, so far it's just been an incredible experience, and I think it's just going to keep getting better and better and better. My reviews of the book are probably not going to be out yet, but I will be filming those very soon, because I do want to just think on it before I film my review though, because there's so much to think about in this series so far. Incredible. Definitely worth it. Next up, we have An Ember in the Ashes by Sabaa Tahir. This is a great YA series. Now, I don't read YA anymore just because I just don't really like the writing anymore, and I think YA tends to have a lot of the same tropes around like angst, and you know, there's a lot of young people discovering themselves. I'm just not of that age anymore, and that doesn't mean that if you're older you can't read YA, because obviously you can. I think just read what feels good to you, and reading YA to me in general doesn't feel as good anymore, so that's why I stay away from it. But I wanted to read An Ember in the Ashes because I've owned this series for years, and I remember it being the kind of really big series a couple of years back on BookTube. A lot of people kind of mentioned it to me in the same vein as the David Bad trilogy. They're very different, and David Bad definitely veers more into adult, I would say, but I had tried a sample of the first book and I really liked the author's writing style. This was like 2 years ago. So anyway, I've been reading a lot of heavy stuff recently, and I thought, you know what, I wouldn't mind reading An Ember in the Ashes. Like, I know it's YA, so I know it's going to read very quick, and I think it's just going to be like a really great palate cleanser between Book of the New Sun and other series that I'm trying to finish off. So I picked it up, I devoured the first book in half a day, and then I devoured the second book in half a day. So I read both books in about just over a day, which is, yeah, I haven't done that in a long while because a lot of the stuff that I read now is like really heavy, and I like to think about it, really reflect on it. But this is just like popcorn, but like good popcorn. It's like toffee, luxury toffee popcorn, right at the top of the totem pole. I am halfway through the quartet, and I'm going to pick up the next book soon. I do want to finish the series by the end of December, but man, is it just so good. Like, it's just so good. The characters are compelling. The plot is great. The pacing is fantastic. Tahir's writing style is really like accessible, like very easy to read, but like it's not at the cost of the storytelling, which I think is really important. Absolutely love it. Can't believe I didn't read it 2 years ago, but I'm so glad I'm reading it now. Next up, we have a sci-fi book, and that is Annihilation by Jeff Vandermeer. So I got this recommended by quite a few of you, so I thought let's just pick it up because I really love the Netflix adaptation of it, and I really liked it. I do think it is worth the hype. I think my only issue with that book is that I just wanted more, and that's a good thing, I think. So yeah, I think that it was very atmospheric. It was very mysterious. There's a lot of kind of creepy vibes, but you don't really know why, and the characters are really compelling. It's just a good time. Like, I think it's a really solid sci-fi book that does what it says on the tin and keeps you very engaged. Next, we have a Stephen King book, and that is Misery. I really loved Misery. Like, I've heard people talking about Misery so much in my life. Like, my mum read Misery when I was younger and she loved it. I remember the movie coming out, and so I've known about the book for a long time. I've just never read it. And a lot of people that I've spoken to say Misery is up there as one of their favourite books, and I can totally see why. Like, 100% it's worth the hype. It is so creepy, it's very disturbing, and it really goes into the dark side of human nature and the human psyche. It's very claustrophobic. Like, reading that book made me feel claustrophobic, so if you are somebody who has claustrophobia, don't read it. But yeah, it's a really good insight into the human condition, and I love that stuff. So definitely worth the hype. All right, we have 3 left. The next one is Kindred by Octavia E. Butler. This is a sci-fi book that is seriously depressing, and I read it in a day, which I don't think I would recommend that because it's very heavy. But the way that Butler really focuses and hones in on the themes is just really cleverly done. She's a very smart writer. Her books are also very accessible, and I think they get the themes and the character struggles across in a way that very few authors do well in sci-fi. I think my biggest issue with sci-fi a lot of the time is that the authors just try to be really smart for the sake of it. Butler is not one of those authors, and I'm very grateful to her for not being like that, because this book is fantastic and it is 100% worth the hype. Penultimate one, this is a fantasy series that came out this year. The first book came out this year, and that is The Adventures of Amina al-Sarafi by S.A. Chakraborty. This got a lot of hype when it came out, naturally, because Chakraborty is an amazing writer. David Bad is one of my favourite series of all time. It's absolutely fantastic. And this is the start of another really great series that she's writing, very much adult fantasy, whereas David Bad, it's like new adult, but then I would say slightly veers into adult, but this is just straight up adult. We are following a retired pirate. She's a Muslim woman. She is an older woman as well. I think she's in her like late 30s, maybe even her early 40s. But it's just the character type that we just don't get in fantasy. And I just think she wrote it so well. I think she wrote Amina so well. The surrounding cast of characters are like a ragtag group of people that just work together. And you kind of can't help but root for them, even though they're all very morally grey and all kind of suck in one way or another. But they're, you know, they're completely fallible, and we kind of love it. And yeah, it's just so good. I read that book really quickly. Cannot wait for the second book to come out. 100% worth the hype. And the final book we have on this list is Empire of the Vampire by Jay Kristoff. I loved this book so much when I read it. I read it in like a day and a half, which when you think about it in the context of this book being like an 800-page book, that was pretty quick. You know, I remember reading it during one of the heat waves that we had in the UK last summer. It was disgustingly hot. I needed to like take my mind off it. So I went to the library, I saw this book there, and I read it throughout the entirety of that heat wave. And it was the only thing that made me survive that heat wave, because I was completely enraptured by our main character, Gabriel de Leon. Everything from the way he tells the story to the kind of mechanics he uses to tell the story. So as an example, our main character is retelling the story after like years have passed, so we are getting it told retrospectively, which is a mechanism that I really, really enjoy. There is a wide range of characters that are all really fleshed out. The lore is like vampire lore, which is something that I generally don't like. I'm not into vampires in general. Like I remember reading a lot of like vampire fiction, not a lot of vampire fiction, but some vampire fiction when I was growing up. But as an adult, I'm not really into like supernatural fantasy. But his take on it, the fact that it's a very dark take on it, was just really satisfying to read. And I think his writing, I haven't read any of his other books yet, and I don't know if I will, but his writing is really good. I do have a few minor issues with the book. If you want to know what they are, definitely go check out my review that I did last year. But my gosh, 100% worth the hype. Cannot wait for the second book to come out in a couple of months' time. It's just going to be absolutely wild. So those are some popular books that are 100,000% worth the hype. Let me know what popular books you like and that you think are worth the hype, and I will see you in the comments. Thanks for watching, folks. Stay safe, take care, and I will see you soon. Bye.